Good morning, Deify here, and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo, where we just finished our night of drinking with Hanako, Lily, and Akira, who we just met, I do believe, so very exciting. Now, I'm assuming we're a little bit hungover, because the hammering of a fist against the door feels like a nail being pounded into my head. Once, twice, 3 times. I let out a long, annoyed breath and bear it while pressing my eyelids shut, fervently hoping for whoever it is to just go away. I feel pretty damn awful. My face feels like it's cast out of lead, my arms feel heavy, and I feel very queasy. It's been like this since I woke up half an hour ago, and I can't summon the energy to pick myself up out of bed. So, this is what they call a hangover. Yep, that's what they call it. I wonder if perhaps this is the best treatment for teenagers who desperately want to try drinking as a way to feel like an adult. Considering how unpleasant this is, it's not something I want to repeat. Oh, just you wait, Hisao. Just you wait. It's fun when you have more friends. I'm a terrible influence. I just like drinking with people. A series of thumps rings out again, reverberating around the small room. I wish they'd just give up already. I have no intention of getting out of bed for them. Seconds pass, turning to minutes. Since no more knocks are coming from the door, whoever it was must have left. Thank goodness. Looking to my clock, the time when I really should think about getting dressed and ready for class is approaching. I don't think I can manage it, though. I hate cutting class, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get much done at this rate. I can tell I look like a mess without needing to look in the mirror to confirm it, too. Oh boy, howdy. Oh, we go to class anyways. Wow, very good, Hisao. The morning rush is giving me enough time to stand outside the classroom for a little while without looking too suspicious. I hope that Muto doesn't ask any awkward questions about my not attending school yesterday. Oh, never mind, we didn't do it. I was sick, that much is true. It's just the reasons for it that I have to hide. Confident I can get by with a tactical omission of certain truths, the best kind of lying. If it even is lying. I stride into the classroom doing my best to appear normal. The instant I open the door and take a single step in, I can feel a dozen eyes looking at me. There's no way I'm imagining this. They're not even making any attempt to hide it. My eyes take a quick sweep around the classroom, and I spot Hanako. We make eye contact momentarily before she looks down and stares very hard at her desk. Oh boy, this is not good. Did she spill the beans? Muto may be okay as far as teachers go, but underage drinking on campus is not exactly something that would be taken lightly. I looked at him with some trepidation. Feeling better today? Yeah. Thank you. He motions for me to take my seat, my legs feeling like sticks as they carry me there. This is going to be a long day. As soon as the lunch bell rings, I'm on my way to Hanako's desk to ask her what's going on. Hanako. Did you tell? She looks up at me and shakes her head. That's a big relief. It's just... Well, hello there, Hee-chan. It's nice to see you again today. Yeah. There's never enough Misha in this game. I grimace and turn towards the unmistakable voice coming from behind me as Shizune is looking. Oh, alright then. That was way too upbeat of a tone to feel comfortable, even from Misha. Misha's happy smile is nothing out of the unusual. Shizune's, though, is a very bad sign. The one she wears has become notched into my brain as her "I've got you 7 ways from Sunday" smile. Hi, Shizune, Misha. You, look happy to see me? Not feeling well yesterday, Hee-chan? No, I wasn't, but I'm feeling better now, at least. That's good to know, Hee-chan. Why do I get the feeling that Shizune is leading me into a trap? Because she is, I guarantee it. You sound like you're not being completely serious. Oh no, Hee-chan, we're genuinely pleased that you're all better now. Shizune is positively overflowing with happiness. There's only one reason why she would be like the... Oh no. In fact, we were quite worried about you. After all, you, Hanako, and Lily were all absent from class on the same day. Yup, She's got us. At least they included Lily in that. That would have been bad if they did that. I mean, granted, the rumors are flying already, but without Lily? Would it be weirder? Who knows? So thoroughly that all I can do is sigh in defeat. I guess you have your own theories about this? Could you just kinda not tell anyone? It's a bit late for that, Hee-chan. Oh, good. I suppose she's right, considering the looks I got as I entered class. Still, things only seem to be at the level of vague suspicion rather than outright accusations, so we'll probably be fine. Hanako's face sinks a little further. Such attention is troublesome enough for me, let alone for her. Going by Shizune and Misha's reactions, I think they notice this as well. The only reason why we're giving you such a hard time is that you ignored us yesterday morning. Yesterday morning? Oh, darn. It takes a while to recollect what happened then, given the haze induced by the generally awful state I was in at the time. Oh, right, the knocking. That was you two? It was, and you left us there for ages after we'd taken all the effort of coming to your dormitory early in the morning. Sorry, I was having a problem with nausea? Problem with nausea. Would have just vomited all over you. They're not buying it. I can't blame them. Thanks, airplane. No, it wasn't an airplane. I don't know. Shizune's head drops in resignation before she reaches into her pocket. Something white and yellow can be seen sticking out a little, and as she pulls it out, it turns out to be an envelope with very bright decorations on it. Oh, good. Oh, good. Since she points it towards me, I duly take it. This is what we were trying so hard to give you, Hee-chan. You don't check your... I tune out the sound of Misha's voice as my eyes register what's written on the envelope. Iwanako. I stare at the envelope for a moment before suddenly remembering that there are other people around me. There's a very strange, somewhat invasive feeling about their expressions. I kind of want to be alone right now. Iwanako? It's nothing. Thank you for bringing this, you two. I should think so, after what we went through to get it to you. I step back and say my goodbyes. Misha theatrically pouts even as I go out the door, but Shizune and Hanako remain very visibly curious about my reaction. I hope they won't interrogate me on this later, though I'm sure they will. The smell of the gardens is, as always, a very pleasant sensation. Some of the most visible signs of how well-funded this school is, aside from its sheer size, are expanse and conditions of the grounds. A good number of students can be seen eating lunch, chatting, and playing on the bright green lawns. Even some of the staff is enjoying the summer here, keeping watch over the students and idly walking along the concrete paths. I'd never seen a sight like this in my home city. On excursions, maybe, but certainly never in a school or anywhere near where I lived. Even the bench I sit on to read is warmer thanks to the summertime sun, reminding me of why I haven't worn the school blazer even once yet. Oh, it's so faint. I'm trying to read this. Okay, I would assume that's Hisao at the top. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. Considering this, the sunflowers and splashes of vibrant yellow coloring adorning the paper are quite appropriate for the time. If only the words written on it were as well. Here I was, thinking I'd managed to get over her, when this troublesome thing shows up. Her handwriting looks vaguely familiar at best, and only now that I see it again I remember that she used to write in pink pen a lot. That's a terrible idea on, pinkish paper. She was always very girly, for lack of a better term, but she was also quite fragile. I never knew if I liked this aspect of her or not, though with the arrival of this letter, that question seems to have become largely moot. The letter begins with not much more than an update on the state of things going on in her life. My old class had a good start to the school year, many are anxious about the exams that will be coming up in the future, etc. But it ends on a very personal, if brief, note. It feels a bit like she wrote most of the letter just to try and soften the blow from the ending. I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most, even though I like you so much. At least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you to not give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final somehow. Wonder if we'll meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't? Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means, write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. So that's that. Our relationship is over. Nice, neat, and tidy, with no ambiguity. I hadn't held on to any illusions that it could ever begin anew. The last time she visited me, neither of us said a thing, except for the one word she said as she left for the last time. Goodbye. Be that as it may, this feels more final. The capstone on an experiment that both of us tried and failed at. A loud shout draws my eyes away from the letter. It's just some students horsing around, with one of the teachers standing nearby coming over to talk to them. Are you okay? Oh, darn it, I thought it was Miki. A tentative voice comes from my side. For a moment, I assume it to be Hanako, but it's actually Yuko. Oh, hello, Yuko. I thought you'd be in the library. She gives a cheerful smile, one quite fitting the atmosphere, and flourishes the empty wrapper of a roll in her hand. She must have someone else covering for her while she grabbed something to eat. It reminds me that I haven't had anything to eat yet. I don't feel hungry, though, and skipping one lunch won't hurt. Mind if I sit here? Sure. Go ahead. I quickly slide the letter back into its envelope, slipping it inside my bag propped against the side of the bench as Yuko takes a seat. She drops the wrapper into a bin beside us. Without much else to do, I lean back and take what enjoyment I can from the sun, silently reflecting on the letter. The lush lawn, the clear blue skies, everything looks so different from the way it did back then. Even the school's surroundings, from the hill it's on to the woods around it, are completely opposite to the urban scenery I remember. Maybe this is what it's like to feel homesick. And again, it's not an outright bad sensation. The feel of the area around Yamaku, while very different, is also nice. I think I could get used to it. I figured you would have been used to it by now. Whatever. Hey, Hisao? Yeah? You didn't answer my question from before. I wasn't going to say anything, but you still look troubled. If you don't want to say anything, though, that's okay. I don't mind at all. I'm sorry for asking something strange like that. I don't mind. It's just, I got a letter from someone I knew before I came to Yamaku. It made me think about some things. I thought I'd managed to get over most of the problems that my accident caused, but now I'm not really so sure. Kinda wish I'd seen it, or I'd never seen it. I don't think that's good, Hisao. When my boyfriend left me, great, TMI from the library, nice. He did so very suddenly, and never let me know why. At first I was very depressed about it, but I decided to forgive him. You forgave him? Couldn't he at least have talked properly with you about it? Well, he was always one of those people that found it difficult to come close to others. In the end, I decided that I fell in love with him for a reason. He was a good person. And I think that if I had been in his position, I would probably have found it just as hard to try and talk to him. I don't really see the connection to the letter I got. I mean that, how should I put this? It must have been very hard for that person to send that letter, and if they did, I think they must have thought very hard about exactly what to say. Iwanako managed to write this letter, and bring a final close to our relationship. Something that I'd never managed to do. Whereas here I am, trying to protect and help Hanako as best I can, especially with Lily leaving for a while, and I'm not even able to deal with my own problems. Does that make sense? She's taken my non-response and furrowed brow as doubt. She really reads faces too much, just like a certain other person. Yeah, that makes sense. The letter was just kind of a shock, really. I think I'd tried to fool myself into thinking that my life reset when I came into Yamaku, but now I'm suddenly aware that it didn't. I'm at a bit of a loss about how to deal with these feelings. I think that's something I can't really help you with. Sorry. It's fine. I think being able to talk with you helped me get things sorted out a bit better in my head, so thank you anyway. She nods and smiles sweetly. Yuko is a nice girl, so it's a shame she's so highly strung so often. The school bell ringing out startles us both. I was supposed to be back before the bell. Oops. She jumps off the bench and almost races off without a second word, but turns on her heel as she remembers she was talking to me just now. I'll see you later, Hisao. Cheer up, okay? I'll try to. Thanks, Yuko. With a quick bow, Yuko takes her leave and begins her rush to the library. Her flight catches the curious eyes of a few passing students, who are unenthusiastically trudging back to their classes after their fun. Reluctantly standing from the bench, I dust myself off and join them. Even while I walk through the gardens back to the main building, the thought of the letter in my bag doesn't stray far from my mind. Leave it to your past to always come creeping back up on you at the worst possible time. Alright. Is it almost time for Lily to leave? Oh, this might be it. Yeah, I think this might be it. The feeling of walking through the streets is one of very deep nostalgia. While Yamaku may be like the reverse of where I've lived in the past, the city at night is amazingly familiar. My eyes are moving constantly from the bright electronic screens glowing high in the night sky, to the street lamps piercing the darkness with their light, to the businessmen enjoying themselves after work, and the busily talking couples on dates. Even if I didn't want to, I can't help soaking in every aspect of the city. I savor its familiarity like a sweet candy sitting on my tongue. Lily is walking to my left with her cane swaying to and fro, holding onto her sister's arms for guidance while talking to her. Compared to traveling by taxi or bus, being driven by Akira in her rather nice car was a much more enjoyable experience. Maybe not for the person on my right, though. While Lily was used to her sister's driving style, and I quite liked a bit of excitement, Hanako was holding very tightly to the door for most of the trip. Everything looks so pretty at night. Hanako quickly looks down yet again as she accidentally catches someone's gaze. Yeah, it does. My answer isn't very thoughtful, since I'm distracted by so many thoughts that I find it hard to keep up on small talk. One of those distractions, aside from the city sights, is how Hanako looks. This is the first time I've seen her in something other than her school uniform or her pajamas. It gave me pause when I first saw her outfit, when we met up at the school gate. Considering how much her head is lowered when people walk near us, I imagine that the hat she wears is more than a fashion statement. While initially I was wary of Lily's plan to take us out into the city, when night fell it became obvious she had thought about this. Not many people have paid Hanako much heed, since the darkness hides her scarring well. So, we're in the city. Any ideas on what to do? Akira beams a smile. Something tells me that she's the one who is making this particular decision, even if her sister may have proposed the outing in the first place. Okay, so it's not the leaving time yet. You'll see. Just follow us. I nod and try my best to stifle a grimace. I need to try and remember how I did Akira's voice. I liked it in the last one. After what happened during Hanako's birthday party, I don't trust Akira's judgment all that much. We keep walking, and I notice that we're passing more and more cafes, restaurants, and other eateries. Every once in a while, a drunken man in a suit comes out of a bar, usually being supported by another, but for the most part the customers around this part of the city look young and fashionable. Different kinds of music come and go as we pass by each business. The discord created by the overlaps should be grating, but it reminds me so strongly of the times I spent in the city with my old friends that I don't mind. Hanako and I have started to drift a little apart from Lily and Akira. That comes to a stop when I hear a soft thud from beside me. Sorry. By the time she rights herself from her apologetic bow, the middle-aged businessman she bumped into is walking away after mumbling a half-hearted apology. Hanako looks a little put off by the experience, and as she quickly skips ahead to match my pace, I notice her head hanging low once more. She probably bumped into him because she was looking downwards and not where she was going. I step to the side a little and put one hand on her far shoulder, drawing her closer. Ooh, Hisao, you dog. Hisao? It's okay, you can walk closer to me if you want. Hanako hesitates, but eventually nods in assent. After a couple of times when I thought we had arrived at Akira's destination, we reach our target. By now, we're below the elevated walkways, and past the most garish and brightly lit places. I'm a bit surprised. The average age of those around us is distinctly older, and the smell of cigarette smoke is pretty thick. This area is far from seedy, though, and it's a little amusing to see Lily's reaction to the smell of the smoke. While it's masked by the low talking of those around us, jazz music can be heard emanating from inside. Looking up at the dimly lit sign, it becomes obvious why. A jazz club. I have to admit, this isn't what I expected. Lily gives an amused snort and a smile. Somehow I feel like I should have known it, Akira. As we talk outside, I notice more and more odd sideways glances directed our way. People awkwardly catch themselves staring and look away, but that just makes it more obvious. I had noticed this occasionally when we were walking, but it's more pronounced now. Never experienced anything like that in my life. An average-looking Japanese teenage guy, just a little taller than normal, isn't the type to draw attention without making an effort. Hey, come on, just because you're teenagers doesn't mean you can't have a taste, right? Well, I don't really mind the music, if that's what you mean. I don't mind it either. She's only just managing to force the words out. It contrasts heavily to when we're alone in Yamaku, and it disappoints me a little that she's so highly strung for what's supposed to be a good time out on the town. It's hard to read Hanako's face as she keeps looking downwards. It's little wonder if she doesn't often come out into the city because of this, and it makes me a little thankful that my own scarring is easily hidden. Lily has a similar way of attracting people's gazes, but the reason for it is clearly different. She hardly looks like a native, and the same can be said for her sister. That much is far more noticeable than her blindness from a distance. She may not be able to see this for herself, but I have little doubt she can hear the odd whispered phrase from people who think they're out of earshot. Be that as it may, she doesn't seem to show any sign of either annoyance or pleasure at the attention. Akira's still as confident as ever, though. Flashing a smile, she strides in with Lily by her side, and the two of us following behind. I had expected my eyes to need adjusting to the light inside, but it's not much brighter than outside. The music we'd heard is clearer now, mixed in with the sound of glasses moving on the tables and counter, and the husky chatter of the patrons. Looking to my right reveals the music's source, a jazz group playing beyond some tables. The patrons seem to be mostly men, and though there's a handful of women, nobody looks under 30, aside from us, of course. Okay, I think this is actually the scene I was thinking about in the last episode when I said maybe that only happens in Lily's. Now I'm pretty sure this is what I'm thinking. Because Hanako's in the right outfit, so I'm assuming there's a pool table here. Because that's a cute picture. I think I have a wallpaper of it, it's so adorable. It feels a little like we've stepped into the 1920s, and the atmosphere is quite agreeable. I'm not completely comfortable simply because of my age, but were I older I would probably feel quite at home. Hanako seems a bit more relaxed now, probably due to nobody looking at her. Everybody's talking between themselves, drinking, or watching the band. Kira casually takes a seat at the counter without even glancing around. She's probably come here before. Lily retracts her cane, feeling out the bar stool in the edge of the counter before taking a seat beside her sister. The bartender takes a brief break from polishing a glass to watch her, before putting it down and coming over. Good evening, ladies. What'll it be? Just a scotch, thanks. Lily? Oh, may I have a glass of A black-suited elbow hits her side sharply. Alright, no drinking tonight, Akira. Orange juice, please. No problem, coming right up. The bartender starts to pour their drinks. A couple of seconds pass before Akira suddenly remembers that Hanako and I are indeed here, and turns around to us. You two want anything, or are you just gonna stand there? Hanako seems to be getting a bit restless. No matter where we're going to seat ourselves, there's going to be people right next to her, and I don't think she looks convincingly older than 20, unlike Lily. Looking around, there's a games section to our right. A couple of billiards tables can be seen in the corner, and nobody's using them either. I glance to Hanako, about to ask her if she'd like to play, but she's already looking longingly in the same direction. Maybe it says something that we can get by with so few words nowadays. We'll go play pool over there. Kira leans back to see past me before shrugging and sitting back up. It seems you'll have to put up with only me for company. How unfortunate. Have fun, you two. We turn and set off for the abandoned corner, with Hanako taking the lead. The prospect of a nice quiet game away from everyone makes her walk noticeably faster. Her eyes stay firmly fixed on her prize. The table's full size and well lit despite the surrounding darkness, thanks to the bright overhead lights. A huge painting of something covers the wall. There aren't many people milling about this corner of the club, and I can see Hanako becoming a little less tense as a result. You know how to play? I'm no expert, but yeah, I do. It's pretty much me with pool, let's go. Then, 8-ball? Sure. Hanako gets the chalk and 2 cues from a set of hooks against one of the walls, while I fetch the balls from the table's pocket and grab the rack from a shelf underneath. She patiently waits as I get the table set up. After slotting the final ball into the rack and doing some last adjustments, I end up having to fight my perfectionist urges in getting the bottom row of balls exactly perpendicular with the edges. I hate that. I hate that. It's always impossible. With the balls arranged and ready to play, I step back and take my cue from her outstretched arm. Carry out a quick inspection of the tip before I'm satisfied that it's in good condition. So, you've played before? Once. Or twice. I just kind of know the rules. The air between us feels a little awkward. She's still pretty nervous, understandably, given that we're in public. Eventually, the silence becomes too much even for Hanako, and she begins to quietly stammer. Who'll break? I think for a moment before reaching into my pocket and drawing a coin. I'll take heads, you're tails. After a nod of agreement from Hanako, I flick the coin up in the air, catch it, and flip it over onto the back of my left hand. Looks like it's you that gets the break. Hanako nods again before taking up her position at the end of the table. This is close, but give me the one with the smile. Pretty sure there's one with a smile. She's not usually this quiet around me, but I'm not wholly sure if it's because of the tidbit of information about her past that slipped out moments ago. The cue comes back in a practiced gesture before smacking dead into the center of the cue ball with a thud. The white ball skates across the smooth green expanse before smashing into the carefully arranged balls at the other end. Balls skitter across the table at a high speed. The break was good, with the balls being nicely distributed around the table. My eyes are already flicking from one to another to pick out the easiest candidates to pocket. Hanako retreats from the side, and I take my shot. Well done. It's only after Hanako says this that I realize the ball I was shooting at was sunk. I look at her and notice a small smile on her face. It's nice how playing games seems to loosen her up a little. Guess I'm stripes then. I take a step back and let her take the next shot, but she doesn't advance to the table. Rather, she looks down a little and rubs her arm. By now, I can identify this as one of her gestures that means she wants to say something, but isn't sure enough of herself to do it. What's up? It's just, you had a nice smile. Do you like playing this? I sigh and lean back against the table. I like playing, yeah. I think I was smiling because it's really nostalgic, though. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. Me and my friends used to play pool in the games center near where we lived pretty often, and at night, too. Wouldn't your parents... My parents both worked, so they didn't mind me not being in the house. I stayed on top of schoolwork pretty easily as well, so there was plenty of time to do other stuff at night. Our conversation dies down, with Hanako's timidity getting the better of her. In response, I get off the table and let her take her turn shooting. There, that one. That's the cute one. Aw, the smile's so adorable. There aren't many solids in easy positions, so Hanako bends down and takes a while to line herself up properly. Hanako's expression is the same as when we play chess, a relaxed but focused concentration. Athletes sometimes talk about getting into a zone when nothing unnecessary enters their mind, and I wonder if that's something she can do. Her posture is good, better than mine to be sure. It's very close to a textbook method of playing, whereas I tend to contort myself into whatever position I feel is most natural for the shot I'm taking. She lines up the cue. The cue comes back, and she does a couple of practice movements to make sure she's lined up correctly. Hanako takes games so seriously. It's the only real hobby I know she has, outside of reading. It feels good to be able to share this kind of experience with her. She takes the shot after careful consideration, and the cue ball zooms off towards the ball, sitting at a slightly awkward angle near a corner. Hanako's careful preparation pays off as the cue ball hits and sends the ball rolling towards the corner pocket. For a moment, it looks like it'll stop just on the lip of the hole, but eventually tilts just enough to drop in. Man, that was a hard shot. If you can pull that off, I don't think I have much hope. I'm not that good. It's not just the shot, though. Even when lining it up, you looked really serious. You're like this with chess, too. The praise makes her a little flustered. She sets the cue against the table and stands, turning to me. I just like those kinds of things. Her fingers are twisting and turning slightly. Tightly. When I was in... Oh, whoops, wrong person. When I was in the orphanage, I just kept doing the things I liked before. If I played games with others, that was enough for the helpers there, so... I never thought about it that way. Staff at an orphanage would naturally want to have everyone socialize at least a little. If it's okay for me to ask, what was it like for you at the orphanage? Why do you want to know? I've touched a nerve, but the fact that she responded at all shows there's at least a chance she'll answer my question. Before, she likely would just have shrunk away from it without a word. I'll tell you, but... Could you tell me who Hanako is? Hanako? Oh, the letter. I wonder how long she's been waiting for the right opportunity to ask me this. I'm surprised, but don't hesitate. Sharing information is naturally a matter of give and take. She's someone I used to like. Her nervousness subsided, at least for the time it took her to ask. Her curiosity is getting the better of her, and I feel a bit uncomfortable to be questioned on this, of all matters. There's no way I can spill out all my feelings about Hanako here. I don't even know myself what my feelings regarding her are, even after talking to Yuko earlier, and I want to avoid the subject around Hanako. Hanako doesn't look overly satisfied with the awkward ending to the discussion, but thinks better of continuing it. She was only just managing to ask me in the first place, without knowing that I wouldn't want to talk about it. I move to finally take my own shot. The lack of talking between us is filled by the chatter of the other patrons and the band at the other end of the club. Spying a shot that doesn't look too difficult, I try and shoot for it. The cue ball taps the ball, and the trajectory is about right, but I put too much power. It grazes the corner of the hole and moves off to the side, just skirting the pocket. I grit my teeth a little. I was pretty good at this game, and it's frustrating to have deteriorated so much. I step back and let Hanako take her turn, glancing towards the counter where Lily and Akira are sitting. They're talking busily between themselves, and seem to be having a good time. Turn back to Hanako as she takes her shot. With the same face as before, she lines herself up and sharply pushes the cue. Just as before, she sinks the ball she was aiming for. It drops into the side pocket more cleanly than her last, though. It looks as if she's getting a bit more into the groove of the game. Nicely done. She hesitates for a moment and begins to address me without turning her head. The orphanage was nice. It felt a bit like Yamaku does, and the staff was really kind. But as the years went on, I realized something. I was different. It feels strange to hear her speak so candidly about herself. She's audibly forcing the words out. It reminds me of when she insisted she tell me about the fire. Hanako must feel that she has to tell me of such things if I'm willing to tell her about my own past. Her grip on the cue tightens as she continues to speak. Most of the children there were up for adoption, just like I was. But unlike me, they gradually left, one by one. By the time I went to Yamaku, I was among the oldest children there. For a while, I helped some of the younger children, but eventually... I lay a hand on her shoulder. She's forcing herself by now. It's okay. She looks mildly surprised for a moment, but then nods before setting down her cue and turning towards me. Do you really think so? Yeah, I think so. Even while Lily's away, I'll be around to protect you, right? Hanako looks at me for a long time, and I'm taken a bit off guard. Her expression hasn't changed from before, still looking somewhat maudlin, and silences between us aren't unusual. I think it's the fact that she's holding such prolonged eye contact that makes this feel a bit odd. It's as if she's judging me. It's a very strange, vaguely uncomfortable feeling. Hanako? I understand. Thank you. She smiles and looks away a little, but it feels stilted. Hanako isn't very good at faking emotions, and this is no exception. I move to the table and take my turn to try and distract myself, but it doesn't seem to work. Does she think I'm not up to the task of helping her? Is she disappointed in me? I'm probably overthinking this. While her silences are just an accepted fact of life by now, sometimes I do wish she'd speak more. With a thud, I send the white sphere careening down the table into my target. Ah! Hanako sees what's happening just as I do. The ball hits hard, with the striped ball I'd intended to sink veering off towards the 8-ball. Sure enough, as Hanako and I both look on and bite our lips, they connect, and the black ball rolls leisurely into a corner pocket. All I can do is sigh. Looks like Hanako is smiling again though, so maybe it wasn't for naught. That was an awful shot. You win. Seems I'm getting pretty rusty after all this time. Hanako bends down and begins to shoot the remaining balls into the closest pockets. I almost ask if we could play another game, but a quick check of my watch confirms that the night is getting pretty late. After one game? It's been like 20 minutes! Lily and Akira appear to still be drinking at the counter. Seems like we'll have to drag them away. Hisao? I turn back to Hanako, who's still looking over the pool table shooting balls. Her voice sounds different from before. I'm here for you as well. I suddenly find myself blushing. It's only natural that she'd respond this way, given what I said earlier, but it's still a shock to actually hear it. Just what is my relationship with this girl? I want to protect her. I want to make her happy. I'm not really sure that it's something like love, but I don't think these are the same kinds of feelings I have for Lily either. I feel sorry for her, having gone through so much in her life. The parents died in a house fire, and she lived in an orphanage for much of her childhood. I can't even imagine that kind of life. But I feel like there's so little I can do for her, especially now that Lily is going to be leaving the country. Oh, I'm gonna use that. I feel like the night's ending and there's going to be a decision coming up soon, but I don't know how much fluff there's gonna be because I'm pretty sure the decision is right when we get back to Yamaku. Which means next episode might need to break out those editing skills. But I'm going to leave this episode here. I'm supposed to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time on Katawa Shoujo, goodbye.